All right. So, first of all, I've gotten, well, not first of all. Yeah, I guess first of all, because it's the first thing I'm talking about. I just got to the end of Subbook 1, which is Chapter 6. I will go through that. If you want a more detailed thoughts on my entire kind of thoughts on Subbook 1, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I've done enough of that in detail, but I think I'm going to go through some of these scenes at the very least. And also, Return of the Crimson Guard just came today. And I was expecting it to be a little bit the same size as Knight of Knives. And I was considering reading it at the same time as Toll the Hounds, but this thing's huge. This thing's huge, and it is, yeah, it's over 1,000 pages. And just looking through the dramatis personae, it's like 1 page, 2 page. See Corbolo Dawn there, by the way. See Talk the Elder as well. So, you know, there are things that 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 4 page, 5 page, 6 page. 7, 8 pages of new characters. I don't know. If I get really comfortable with Toll the Hounds, and I maybe at halfway, if I'm still feeling it, I will do this. But I don't want to muddy the waters. I'm already kind of rolling, and still really looking forward to it. But at the very least, maybe I'll slot this in after Toll the Hounds. And we'll see. I'm really looking forward to it, though. Okay, so Chapter 6 was awesome. Was really awesome. I will go through some of it here. So the epigraph starts great. The epigraph, it's really short, so I'll read it here. And it's from Emperor Kellanved. On the occasion of the conquest of Falari's Grand Council, brackets, the trial of Crust. We had the Crust brothers who also kind of vanished. I think they were brothers, right? They also vanished. I imagine we're going to get that. Maybe we get that in the Crimson Guard. Who knows? Okay, so the miracle of hindsight is how it transforms great military geniuses of the past into incompetent idiots, and incompetent idiots of the present into great military geniuses. There's the door. And be sure to make all your pompous second-guessing delusions with, or take all your pompous second-guessing delusions with you. Isn't hindsight so that way? I thought that was great. So we have this meeting first with Traveler, who we know now for sure that this is Dasim or Dasim. I guess I should figure that out. Ultur, whatever. And he is having a little meetup with Shadowthrone and Cotillion. Now, he is on his way. He wants to kill Hood, which I don't want that to happen, because I have this feeling, and I've had this feeling since Memories of Ice, when he offered his realm through the Herald, I believe. I really like Hood, and I have a feeling that we, at least the characters all have it wrong about Hood. I like how he introduced Talk and Beak into his realm. I like him. I like him. So maybe I'll be totally wrong, but I don't think so. So he wants to kill Hood, and I think that just so fits with the theme of this book and many of the themes, especially as this is dedicated to Steven Erikson. Steven Erikson's father, who had passed before writing this. Why wouldn't somebody want to destroy the god that is over death or whatever, That is one way to, especially if someone had lost people and were grieving and thought maybe that would be some kind of solution. I don't think it is, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm so looking forward to how this is going to go, because there are all these people way down here, and we have Kruppa, who's almost this voice of light in a lot of ways. A lot of broken people in this series. I am just so excited to see. I mean to kill Hood. I mean to kill the god of death. We have these 2 white hounds. I couldn't remember. I figured we had white hounds. I can't remember if this was... And Shadowthrone thinks that he summoned them. And, we figure, are these a couple of the Hounds of Light? I don't know if these are going to be even stronger than the Hounds of Dark, or weaker than the Hounds of... And weaker than the Hounds of Shadow, if it kind of goes light, shadow, dark, or what it is about these 2, but they are walking alongside the Hounds of Shadow, which I think is very significant. I don't think this happened when Karsa killed the 2. Maybe this happened when the 2 got sent into Hood's or into Dragnipur or whatever. See, I'm a little murky on the details of when these 2 showed up, but I think it's very cool. Now, back to them talking about Traveler's thing that he wants to do. He wants to know which of them wrecked his ship. And I think they said, the very opposite. We don't want to stop you from killing Hood. We want to kind of facilitate this. We want to help you do this. And this is this. I like that everything is in 3s, and then we have these 3 here. But anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Now, that was a close one, because they were kind of a part of all this, and they lied to Cotillion here. If he had decided we were behind the shipwreck, well, I don't like to think about what would have happened here. Cotillion is super awesome, and we see from Knight of Knives that we have a little bit of Traveler, of Dasim Ultor there, so we get to see a little bit of what he can do, and what would happen. They say that the Hounds would not have interceded. Maybe the white ones there. I don't know. You could have just told him the truth. Let me just go back to the very, very first epigraph in... Where is it? Do we have a prologue at the start here? Or an epigraph at the start of the prologue? Speak truth. Grow still until the water is clear between us. Meditations of the Tist Andi. Speak truth and just wait. Don't do anything else. They are not speaking truth here. You could have just told him the truth. That Mael wanted him, and wanted him badly. That we had to reach in and drag him out. He would have been far more thankful with all that. This also rings true a little bit with something that happens with this Tist Andi group. Holy smokes, we have that whole thing coming. I better hurry up. Okay. Mael could have killed him easily enough, don't you think? Instead, we set out to delay Traveler. We need to think on that. We need to figure out why. Delay. Yes, why? What value? Timing, Shadowthrone. Perfection. So far, like, everything is going as planned with these 2. We will not fail. We'd better not. Which among our newfound allies do you imagine the weak link? And we have this thing with Animander Rake where it's like he told this Endist, eventually you will betray me, or something like that. Cotillion glanced back at Shadowthrone. Well, you, of course. Apart from me, I mean. Cotillion stared. Shadowthrone waited. fidgeting on his throne. Very cool. Okay. Especially that fidgeting part. We have this thing with, I'm not going to go through everything, but we have this thing with the dying god, who I think, does that mean, I feel like, is the dying god the Redeemer? Is the dying god a Kovian? Or am I just getting that so backwards? But this whole thing with Kovian seems like his followers, if that is Kovian and the Redeemer, and all his people are like dancing in his torment, you might have to fix this. But where my mind is right now, if he is this super awesome guy, they are dancing in the torment. They are dying with smiles on their faces. They are making this awful drink that is spreading to everyone. Even the pollen of the stuff that makes it is just making people crazy. And it's just bringing a weight. It's bringing paranoia. It's bringing heaviness of the heart. We have the crazy illusions of the mind with Makra, but whatever this is seems to be more than just that. It's of the heart. And they just want to go towards it, like Teniscowry towards a city to eat the citizens in. It's such a great addition to Memories of Ice. Clip tells them to kind of go run and hide when the dying god is about to show up. Shows up in terrible pain. And these scarecrow juices has Nimander and everyone really tempted. And even though, who is it that was holding him back? They're tempted too, even though you can tell, like, his heart is telling him go, but his mind's like, no, we cannot. It's just something else. This stuff that everyone is drinking now. These cities are just, that's the new currency, it seems like, is barrels or whatever of this new beverage, which just seems like the worst stuff that you could be on, and everyone's on it. There is ecstasy in the torment. That's something that is mentioned here. They're all tempted to drink it and dance in the god's pain. It's not just, yeah. And the dying god, as far as I can tell here, is disgusted by this. He might be one way, but his cult followers are a big mess. I might be getting that wrong, and I want you to help me if I am getting that wrong, if I'm supposed to think something else by this point, if something's obvious. There are times where I just kind of miss things, but... And then we have this Aranatha, who we've had before, and she is strong as heck. And when Clip goes and he's like rampaging through this tavern where people are dying with, they're willing martyrs in this case for the dying god. Something that I don't think they're doing this for him. And this is not what he is asking for, I think. The best thing that is happening is through this Seerdom, and we'll get there. But Aranatha, when Clip goes in and does this, and he has this all over, and he's kind of comatose laying there, this dying blood's drug, or blood, is one heck of a drug, right? It's just wild. Okay. Yes, and even the pollen is in the air. We have breathed it, and now God's below. How we hunger for more. You dance, you drink deep my agony. What manner of vermin are you? Cease, leave me, release me. Isn't this just an amazing scene? Mother Dark, save us. The dying god, it bleeds poison. I mean, this is either Ikovian being like, what the heck is going on? and he has taken on everybody's, everybody's weight or whatever. And if he is ascending, it's this amazing relationship with ascendants and their followers, isn't it? Poison. Then why do I thirst for more? There was no answer for this. Is this the truth? Is this a truth made manifest? Do we all feed on the pain of others? Do we laugh and dance upon suffering simply because it is not our own? That really hits. Can such a thing become addictive? An insatiable need? I could read this whole thing, this whole scene here, but it would just go on too long. It's just quite a powerful scene. Then we go to the next one. Let me just read the first part of this next scene. It was a quirk of blind optimism that held that someone broken could in time heal, could reassemble all the pieces and emerge whole, perhaps even stronger for the ordeal, certainly wiser, for what else would be the reward for suffering? It's like, there must be balance for all this suffering. There must be balance for the weight on the heart. Certainly something good is coming from this. The notion that did not sit well with anyone was that one so broken might remain that way, neither dying, and so removing the egregious example of failure from the mortal eyes, nor improving. A ruined soul should not be stubborn, should not cling to what was clearly a miserable existence. Friends recoil. When you see someone suffering, friends recoil. Acquaintances drift away. And the one who fell finds a solitary world. Think of the Tistandi. Think of Animander Rake, that is almost the poster boy. Well, is the poster boy. And he holds the burden. He holds the sword that holds burden. And he has the burden of sending people there. And the one who fell finds a solitary world, a place where no refuge could be found from loneliness, when loneliness was the true reward of surviving forever maimed, forever weakened. Yet who could not choose that fate when the alternative was pity? Wow. Of course, pity was a virtually extinct sentiment among the Tistandi, and this Endis Silan saw as a rare blessing among his kind. They just kind of don't even look at him. He'd rather have that than the pity. He could not have suffered such regard for very long. As for the torment of his memories, well, it was truly extraordinary how long one could weather that assault. Yet, he knew he was not unique in this matter. It was the burden of his entire people, after all, sufficient to mitigate his loneliness, perhaps. I could read this whole chapter to you guys. It's that good. But I'm not going to. Let's see. What do I want to get here? So, I was reading really quickly, and I didn't highlight everything, but I did highlight it here, or I did write some notes here, and I can't remember exactly where I'm at. Let me just I'm going to say give me a second, but I don't want to get all this because I think I'm getting the themes at least, and I don't think we need to go through all of this. But we get this thing with Spinnock. And I just read through it. I didn't even have time to highlight it because I was just reading through it. We get this thing with Spinach, and he has been going over to the Great Barrow, where all these pilgrims have gone. We have the high priestess there, and he has been going there not to do anything else, not to ask for anything, but to just give company. Because Ikovian was very alone in what he was taking on. No one else could take that burden with him. But at least he could offer some sort of company. You know, which I think is just great. The Redeemer stirs in his barrel. He's waking up. And in this chapter as well, we have several mentions of curled Ghislaine. And it's the Tistandi that are with Animander Rake, I believe, since he killed Tiamat or whatever the name, Tiam, trying to enforce peace, they were separated from Mother Dark, which I figured that would mean a separation from that curled Ghislaine. And by some miracle, it's like they have it back in some form. But it's not quite the same or something like that. See, some of these details, I love the themes, but some of the details are like, whoo! But I just love it. Let me see. What did I write here? This drink. Yes, I've already talked about that. The Seer Domin kind of cracks during this last game with Spinach. And that makes me think, oh no. Spinach needs the Seer Domin to hold faith. This guy who was amazing in Memories of Ice, just for a moment, as he gave comfort to Talk the Younger. On the Discord, Surav, I think, put it great, saying, you know, he was the only one who gave a little bit of humanity, showed a little bit of humanity. So why wouldn't he be chosen as this figure by the Redeemer, right? And he was chosen, right? This guy who wouldn't ask it for himself, but he was at the very center of this awful scourge that was going around. He was right there. He was right there to give Talk a little bit of comfort. And I just love that guy. And he can't do anything else for Ikovian at the Barrow other than offer some company, which is the greatest gift of all. Remember, everyone fades away when someone is down. But not him. He goes towards it. We love those kinds of characters that go towards people to help them out. It's amazing. Just amazing. We have Calor's scene. And I'm surprised by Calor's scene. I like some of the stuff that we got. Now, a couple things that just, he still seems to be a maniac, right? He's done all this stuff, but he has outlived generations. I like this part where he kicks the coals and he just lets the grasses burn to scar his wake, which I think is great. It's just a nice touch. He has had he has had wives and children, but it's been a torture to him, I think, to watch them grow older while he just stays the same, and he watches them die and new people, to the point where he would just take the children, and in his mind he's doing this as like a mercy for his mortal wives, because there's nothing worse than getting attached to something that's going to die. So why not just kill it outright from the mother's arms right when these children are born? But I think that's more of a reflection on him not wanting to go through that anymore. So that's something that, he still is. I just think of the people also in Dragnipur, chained to burden. And, yeah. I think of Calor. Obviously, he's just a maniac. He's done a cleansing of, he had a throne of the bones of the people, the slaves that he had just burnt outright. But it's interesting that we get a point of view of him. He's kind of ballsy, especially if Steven Erikson has a little bit of redemption in mind for Calor. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Very interesting. And you have to kind of keep an open mind with this. Like, that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. So, I mean, not saying he deserves anything. It's just interesting to see this, right? Okay. We have, and he's being followed by, and he's killed Whiskey Jack. Like, I hate this guy, but I love that we get his point of view. And he's being followed by the Tistandi. Talks about their fundamental weakness is a failing of will. If they were in Dragnipur, maybe he's suggesting, those are not the types you would want in Dragnipur, because they just lose hope. They're just depressed. As soon as they were pulled away from Mother Dark, it was like this cutting off that just killed them. Not killed them literally, but killed them in the heart. Oh, it's just so many things like this. So well set up. We have Clip and them on their way, staring sightlessly. These flies crawling around. They've put the porridge in the mouth, and Calor's going to hitch a ride with them. They don't trust the guy. He looks old, and they kind of see, this Nemander, Nemander knows that there's something cold about him, colder than winter. And it's just, I can't wait to see what happens with this. This is so compelling. I've heard that people say this is slow. This is amazing. This is just the pace that I like, because it gives us a chance to be with the characters before they go fight, and it gives us a chance to sit with them and understand what's in their mind. I just love it. This is the pace that I like. But I love the action as well. Okay, let's keep going. But let me just make sure there's nothing. This other Nananda wants to kind of poison Calor with this drink. Calor speaks the language, and that sort of seems to freak them out. He hops onto the cart and says, "Wake me up when it's time to eat." Nudging the mare in a trot, he glanced to meet Skintick's gaze. This is Nemander, I think, again. and saw none of the usual mocking pleasure. Instead, something wan, distraught, like distrust and fear. And we have Traveler in this last scene. And he's, or I think the last scene, unless we get another little, a little Karsa thing. But Traveler's going. He comes across two men that are a part of this tribe. And he's all these rules of the tribe is kind of fun. Like, you don't do this and we won't do that, and you do this and we will do this. Like, very eye for an eye sort of thing in a way, but it's very interesting. Kiss with passion, caress with tenderness, gift us with wisdom of your years, but none of your bitterness. Leave us with no diseases. Eat what we give you, drink what we give you, smoke what we give you. Thank us for all three. Grant your seed if a woman comes to you in the night. Kill all vermin you find. Like, it's very interesting. And then we get this last part where he comes across Samar Dev. And we know that there have been these whole tribes or these other groups of people. This one group that has like a carriage that's 2 stories high, and they're evil menace. This was yesterday, so I forget the details even after a day. But we know that Karsa's back, and he is wreaking havoc a little bit in this area. So we know he's here, and I'm just so excited. I'm so excited about this book. I know I said I was going to put maybe Crimson Guard in between, but I can't wait that long. I was thinking of maybe doing Where the Red Fern Grows to keep things heavy as well. But after reading part 1, I maybe just can't help myself. I might need to just go into part 2, which is called Cold-Eyed Virtues. And yeah. So I will talk to you on the next one. Thank you guys for sticking around. I usually do the first quarter of the book very slowly, like I have. And maybe this will keep up. Maybe this pace will keep up. But if it would just be kind of the same old, I'm going to speed up and maybe not have such in-depth scene things like this. But if you still like it and you are up for it, I will. But if I don't do the in-depth chapter things, at least by the halfway mark, I will have like a subbook 2 thing, or I'll start doing some immediate reactions. But I don't want to kind of overdo the main themes of this book, which I think are just amazing. I can't wait to see how he wraps up all this heaviness that is going into it. And I don't even know if I need it to be necessarily taken away from people, because we don't always get those burdens taken away. I don't necessarily need a big flash of light that just makes everyone happy in the end, because I just don't know where it's going to go. And I know people love the ending of this book. I got my hopes a little high in Bone Hunters, thinking it was going one way and it went another way. So I'm going to kind of temper my expectations and just enjoy it as I go. But I'm really looking forward to this. I know I loved Reaper's Gale for a lot of the plot, and I did love the theme of kind of 2 natures pulling on one person. But this is a special entry so far. This is one that I think if I went back and didn't want to reread the whole series, I think I would be happy. Maybe I think if I had to read a couple books again, I would read Memories of Ice and this one so far, as long as it continues being, because I just like this. I like the theme of burdens and just pushing forward. and a little bit of light coming out of it. And I'm finding a lot of that here. There's something very, there's something that just draws you into a book that handles this well, where you'd think it would be just very depressing. But it's not. It's not. It's very real and very raw, and I like that. I like that. And even if there wasn't a big battle or something crazy like that by the end, I like this kind of exploration. That's why I call it Dan Explores Books. But I like what Steven Erikson is exploring here. So I'll talk to you guys on the next one.